Welcome back to my channel. I am the world famous Austin, the famous booktuber with 100,000 subscribers. No, I don't. Today we are going to be talking about my TBR, which is a mess. I have over like 374 books. That's a lot of books, and a lot of them are 1,000 pages. Here are some of the books that I'm going to be planning on reading next. And I don't really do well with lists, so some of these books I might read, and then some of them I just might not read for a while, because like there's so many books I want to read. So, well, let's get started. Our first book is Lost Symbol by my boy Dan Brown. I've read 2 Dan Brown books. I've read The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. Angels and Demons was not a good book, like pure crap. But The Da Vinci Code, that was a fun book. It was a book I think about a lot, and it really isn't like an amazing story that you're going to remember forever, but it generally was a cool story. And I gave it 3.5 at the time, but now that I kind of think about it, it's more of a 4-star book and stuff like that. The Lost Symbol takes place in Washington, D.C., which most of his books like take place like way out of the United States, so this one actually takes place in the United States this time. Some guy gets kidnapped, and Robert Landon has to use his object theme with a whole bunch of history and stuff like that and try to figure out clues about where this guy is. Most of Dan Brown books are known as like popcorn books. Basically, you read them, you have a good time, you're invested in the book, you finish it, a couple months, forget all about it. I forgot all about Angels and Demons. The Da Vinci Code I do remember. Maybe this one will be different, but I don't really know. All I know is that Dan Brown does get a lot of mixed reviews, and I do know this one's pretty mixed. Maybe this time will be different. Let's hope it is. Up next, Phantoms by Dean Koontz. I read a couple Dean Koontz books. I liked one of them and a couple of them were just okay, but maybe this one will change it. Phantoms is widely considered Dean Koontz's best book. I've heard that the book is scary, but I've also heard it's really, really good. It was like right when he was at his peak during like the 80s and stuff like that, where he's writing good books left and right and stuff like that. I've heard it's one of his most scariest books, and it generally will like creep you out. I have not been scared, but I've been disturbed by some of the books I've read. Maybe this would change things for me. The book is about a whole town that like completely disappears. Like 2 of the people that used to live there come back, and they find the whole town wiped out. Then they find their bodies everywhere. So they're trying to figure out like what is going on. And I guess like, I don't really know because I haven't read the book, but the villain is like hecka disturbing. I'm really excited to read this book because I've been impressed with Dean Koontz, and he's a pretty good writer and stuff like that. I've read Thomas, and that was by far like one of the funnest characters I've read. So I'm really hyped for this one. I have no clue if this is first edition. I bought it at library sales, so I know nothing about my book edition. So, anyways, Thinner by my boy Stephen King. I love Stephen King, and I've been impressed with some of his works. He's by far like one of the most famous authors out there, so I want to read a lot of his stuff. So, but one of them has really stuck to me is Thinner. Thinner is about a fat guy who like, I guess does something to really make a gypsy mad, and he's cursed to lose weight. And he's like, oh, this is a blessing. But then it ends up becoming cursed because he's slowly losing weight uncontrollably. He's slowly gonna die, and he's trying to find a way to stop this curse. The reason why I want to read this is Stephen King wrote a full-on book about a guy losing weight. So yeah, my curiosity is through the roof. With Stephen King, there's a lot of arguing and disagreeing about like how good his books are. Like some people would like one book, and some people would hate the other book. So maybe this one will be good. I don't really know, but I'm really hoping it's going to be good. Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove. You do not understand how bad I really want to read this book. All of the people that I follow who have read this book loved it. It is by far one of their favorite books of all time. The only problem that I'm really worried about is its length. My edition's 800 pages, and that's a lot of pages to get through. The book is about, we follow like 2 guys as they go on a cattle drive like through a couple of states. I don't remember the states, I'm sorry. I've heard that these characters in this book are really lovable, and I've heard that the book will make you laugh and will make you cry. And there's a lot of heart to this book. It won the Pulitzer Prize, and like I said, a lot of people that I follow love this book. So, and all I've heard about this book is good things. So I've been really wanting to read this for a long time. James Agee I don't know how to say his last name. A death in the family. A death in the family is kind of tells you by title. A family experiences a death, and we kind of get to see him like grieve that death and then kind of move on with someone out of their lives. This is considered a classic, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, so I don't really know what I'm getting myself into. And of course, I've heard that this book is a sad book, and I love sad books. I love crying to a book. Well, unless the book completely destroys me and throws me off for a day, like of Mice and Men did. I've heard Stephen King's recommend this book, like near the end of On Writing. This is one of the books that's recommended. So if the Stephen King's recommending it, it's gotta be good. Up next, Secret Moreau by John Grisham. This is a book part of the Jake Briggs series, a 3-book series, and I've read the first book, A Time to Kill, and it's by far one of my favorite books I've ever read. It's about a guy named Seth, who before unaliving himself, he writes a will, and basically he's dragging like his kids, his maid, and Jake into this murder trial. And Jake's gotta figure out this case, and there's a lot of racial tensions. The only problem is I'm coming in with really high expectations from this book because I freaking love The Time to Kill. So my expectations are like to the freaking moon, dog. I really hope that it can like meet those expectations because of how much I love the first book in the series. So there's a lot of doubt going into this book, but maybe, just maybe, and I'm hoping and begging on my knees that this book is going to be good because I've been wanting to read this forever. Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. It's about 14-year-old Lily Owens who flees from her abusive father. Lily goes with her caregiver to go to her 3 black beekeeping sisters, and they slowly unravel the truth from her past that's been a blur in her head. I like the idea of slowly unraveling like what happened. I read We Were Liars, and it kind of had a similar theme to that, except We Were Liars was mid, but maybe this one will be a lot better because I really enjoy the uncovering the truth about a past that is kind of forgotten. The Road by Cormac McCarthy. It's about a book about a father and a son who walk through like a completely wiped out America and try to find warmth and safety. And there's also cannibals chasing after them. So this book sounds hecka fun, but it's not going to be fun. I know that for sure. I've heard that The Road by Cormac McCarthy is an extremely sad book. Like it's one of those books that I've heard that if you pick it up once, you're only going to read it once because it's going to mentally destroy you. The writing style in this book is really different, and I've heard it's done on purpose. It's also like hecka sad, so I'm ready to cry to a book. I have not cried to a book for a long time. So this one's definitely going to make me cry. I know that for sure. Maybe, I don't know. And I've also been interested in Cormac McCarthy because I do know he written like Blood Meridian, which is like a very disturbing book, but very interesting written in a way. So I've been really interested in the author too. Mary Higgins Clark, All Around the Town. It's about a girl named Lori who is 21 in the book, but like she has some childhood trauma of being kidnapped at 4, and due to that she develops multiple personalities. Her English professor is murdered, and she's the prime suspect, even though she did absolutely nothing. I read Where Are the Children, and I honestly don't remember much of it, but I do know Mary Higgins Clark is a very famous and very well-known author, and it's kind of a shame because no one really talks about this author anymore, and I feel like that maybe she should be talked about a lot more. What I do remember from Where Are the Children, it was definitely a very interesting book, and she definitely does create pretty good characters, and she just keeps you thinking throughout her book. What I know I'm getting myself into is a page turn of a book, probably a big plot twist. I haven't read Mary Higgins Clark in a while, so I've been really wanting to read a lot more of her books. So this is definitely gonna be my next read by her. The Andromeda Strain by Michael Crichton. This is about a virus that comes from space that crashes in the desert, and all of a sudden a bunch of people are dying from it. So like COVID-19 all over again, except I'm pretty sure it's a lot worse than COVID-19. And a team of scientists are trying to stop this virus from spreading and save humanity. I read Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, and I've also read Airframe. Jurassic Park was pretty good. I don't remember much of it. I read it like 2 years ago, but I remember really loving it. And Airframe was just hecka boring. I didn't like that one. It was a drag to get through. It's like a popcorn book. You know, you read the book, it's fast-paced, It's so much fun to read. When you finish it, you're like, oh, that's a good book. And then a couple months later, you're like, wasn't that a good book? Or you just completely forget all about it. This is by far a pretty famous novel by him, besides Jurassic Park. Due to my last experience with Airframe, I really hope that this book doesn't disappoint. Son is also starred by Nicola Yoon. It's about Natasha and Daniel, who are two very different teenagers who meet in New York City, and in a single day they fall in love. Boy, I wish this could happen in my life. I love young adult books, and in fact I do write in a lot of young adult. It's terrible though, and you guys will never be able to see that. And I've read a couple romances, but romance is definitely the weakest on my genres because I just don't really care for romance. But maybe if I read this, change things. Who knows? Into the Wild by John. I'm gonna butcher the last name. I'm not gonna try it. Christopher, a college grad who graduates from college and decides to just throw everything away. He's gonna sell all of his belongings, give away all of his money, and basically hitch around America in 1992. The reason why I really want to read this book, first of all, it's a famous book in the nonfiction genre, and it's like one of those stories you're like, wait, someone actually did that? Like, I would not do that. Like, I'm gonna miss my bed if I do that. I've heard that this has turned into a really well done movie, so that just ups up my expectations. So I need to regrade expectations. William Golding's Lord of the Flies. It's another classic. This book's read in school. If you don't know the plot, everyone should know the plot. Plane crashes, all the adults are dead, and it's just kids fighting for themselves as they try to build civilization. I've watched there's a deep video about this that talks a lot about why this book is so impactful, and it definitely does seem like a hecka interesting book. I tried reading it 3 years ago, but that was when I was reading Roots, the Saga of American Family, so I really wanted to focus on Roots so I ended up dropping the book. I didn't hate it though, it's definitely interesting, but I just didn't feel like it was the right time to read it. I want to read this because it's a classic, and I never read in school. I read Fahrenheit 451 instead, which is a good book. I liked it. It's also a short book, so I'm gonna fly through this book. Cold Mountain by Charles Frazier. Book about Inman, a wounded Confederate soldier, and a book about Ada, who he falls in love with. And I'm pretty sure he goes really kind of deep into these characters. When the book came out in the 90s, it spent over 17 weeks #1. So it's a best-selling book. The only reason why I really kind of want to read this book because of how famous it is, and it spent a lot of weeks on New York Times bestsellers when it first came out. So that's got to tell you something. So these are just a couple of books that I want to read. Obviously there's a lot more, but I don't want to bore you guys with me yapping on and on and on about books. So that's the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to follow my terrible content. And bye-bye.